Good evening. Looks like we've got one attendee so far, two. All right, Marin County's showing up strong. Hi, Jean. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to give folks a minute or two to log in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I know Western Weekend is coming up. That's going to be fun. I'm sure folks are busy preparing for it. I know Rhonda was.
There's a Father's Day pancake breakfast at Stinson Beach Fire Department.
Is that right? Cool.
Be cool.
Yeah. Oh, wait, just one more minute. At 6:03, I'll go ahead and get started. All right, my clock says 6:03, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. This is the third community meeting for the Point Reyes Playground restroom expansion. It's the third meeting of this part of the work, if you will, but it's the sixth meeting overall. We've been working on the project now for at least a couple of years, and we've gone through, different phases of the discussion. Started real focused on the wastewater technology that we could use, and then eventually got to where we are today, which is a really exciting moment. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to our consultant team, who is joining us this evening. And I'll ask you all to hold your questions until the end. These guys will give a presentation to you, and then I want to hear everything you have to say and answer whatever questions we can. And anything we can't answer right here and now, we will get you answers for. So I'll hand it over to you, Mike. You want to introduce yourself and the team?
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Hastings with Sherwood Design Engineers. And I'll just let the whole team introduce themselves. Go ahead, Chris.
Hello, Chris Ford, BRW Architects.
And hi, everyone. I'm Kendra Manning from RHAA Landscape Architects.
Great. And so today we will be going through a number of things. Most importantly, the 30% design update. And we'll first talk about the work to date, go through some of the design elements, and then next steps. And as we just introduced, this is the project and team. So work to date, this is the third community meeting, and we've had some really great opportunities to get feedback from a number of folks. So we really appreciate everything that you all have done so far. And we had one great site visit with the association and a series of community meetings that I just mentioned. As it relates to the building, the project team evaluated a few different roof options, and some stall configurations within the restroom, and then some of the maintenance space and associated components. And what you see here is an image of what we showed as the options last time, and with the green being the selected options. And so we can go, Chris will go into a little bit more detail on that in a bit. And then some of the feedback that we received that we've incorporated were 10 new restroom stalls, a gender neutral, family friendly floor plan, low water use fixtures, and a pedestrian path connecting to the Mesa lot. And then we realigned the stairs from the existing restrooms up to the revised site, and then also expanded some of the seating options, some pretty cool options that you'll see, and bike parking as well. We also listened to the feedback about shade and wanted to kind of minimize additional shades. We have some really nice sunny areas. Additionally, there was some solar added. Well, we was already considering that, but there's a little more information now, and battery backup for outlets for charging, which will also support the electrical vehicle charging. And then finally, some really important considerations for maintenance. So mop sink and janitor's closet, and some other various improvements. And so first I will pass it over to Kendra, who can talk about the landscape improvements.
Great, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so here we show the landscape improvements plan. We will share with you in the coming slides some more details on the landscape improvements in particular. But here we just wanted to initially show you what some of the key elements of the site are before we dive into too much detail. So starting from the bottom of the image, you have Mesa Road and the town centre beyond. To the left of the page is Toby Street and the point of entry to the parking lot that exists today. To the top of the image is adjacent housing beyond, and to the right is the Mesa lot and the large open field that you see today. So what you can see in this plan, we'll start with what is remaining as part of this project. So there's existing path and stair that connect Mesa Road and the town centre to the existing restroom facility, which you see there at the bottom of the sheet. Those will all remain, and the existing playground will also remain. You also will see the gravel parking lot, which will roughly remain the same square footage and size, will remain as gravel, but we will make improvements to bring it up to standard with wheel stops, striping, and ADA access. The new elements are obviously the new restroom, which Chris will speak to shortly, as well as wastewater treatment infrastructure, which Mike and Alison will go over, and the new landscape improvements, which I'll talk to now. So starting again from the bottom of the page, you will see the existing restroom, and we are making sure that that connection from the existing restroom to the new restroom, the playground, and the new outdoor space that we're creating is nice and clear and safe and accessible. Currently, the decomposed granite pathway that exists is really degraded and not meeting current standards. So we'll be bringing that up to standard as a concrete path. And we're also replacing and reorientating the stairs between the existing restroom and that upper level, so sort of direct people, folks more towards the existing playground and then on to the new restroom. So it's a nice logical progression there, and there's no sort of conflict with directing folks straight out onto the gravel parking lot. When you get up to the restroom level, the new restroom level and the playground level, we're proposing some new picnic tables, bringing those up to standard and making sure they're nice and safe and accessible. A new bench seat that will look over the playground, buffer planting between the parking lot and this new outdoor space, so folks are separated from the vehicular movement there in the parking lot. New bike racks to host larger groups that come in on the weekend using the space, and a bike fix-it station with a pump and a couple of tools. And then all of this area will be newly paved and nice and accessible and safe. If we flick on to the next page, Mike, I will show some imagery. So you can start to see, now that we're at this point in the design, what we're thinking about for sort of look and feel. We want to make sure that this space is easy to maintain and will stand the test of time. So the picnic tables and benches will be robust, mounted safely and nice and comfortable and safe for users. Those bike racks that we talked about will likely be the hanging kind, so folks can hang up their bikes, use the facilities, and move on, as we have observed people typically do in this space. The planting will be native and locally adapted and low water use and easy to maintain over time. And in terms of materiality for the paving, we are using concrete where we need to in order to meet sort of those ADA accessibility standards. But we'll also utilize permeable materials where we can. So that's permeable concrete to mitigate stormwater runoff and promote percolation, and also obviously gravel in the new parking lot space as well. So that sums up the landscape improvements. I'm looking forward to hearing people's comments, but right now I'll pass it on to Chris.
Thanks, Kendra. Yeah, this is Chris Ford with BRW Architects. As you can see, the plan that was selected was the multiple stalls, gender neutral. The closest to the parking lot are the family restrooms that have both water closet, baby changing station, and lavatory. Then as you exit, it's all undercover, but as you exit, there's a common lavatory area along the wall facing into the parking lot. Very robust, easy to maintain, and durable. Then shown there in the lower right-hand corner, there's some questions about how we're going to do the hand drying and to avoid paper, but also to have a exterior rated hand drying mechanism that's durable and can take the weather. Very simple. It actually has a remote motor that we're going to be detailing, and just wanted to show you the image of a simple, robust air dryer for the hand drying. And as I'll show on the 3D, that the low slung roof is dug into the hill. So we'll move on to the next slide. So this is the low slung roof selection. On the left is a rendering from the parking lot. The right is a little bit of the same view we did in model form. We had both of these at the last community meeting. Got the feedback on this design as being the lowest. It provides for natural light through a center spine in the roof. It shows the hard wall facing the parking lot that's low, but then contains the hand dryer and the lavatory for wash up, but still some screening to block the wind. As you can see towards the back left on the rendering and the back right on the model, it's dug into the hill, so there'll be a little retaining wall to have as low a profile as possible. The exterior materials, we're going to be copying what's there now, which is the exposed redwood and wood fascia, metal roof, and what's called a split face concrete block. We'll try to match the color as best we can. and have it be, you know, a harmonious solution. I think we've got another image, Kendra, of so when you stand at the housing above the project, right now you look down on the parking lot. We fit the new restroom between the existing trees. So the current view from above is the parking lot, the cars, the temporary restrooms that have been added, and eventually the low slung roof of the existing restrooms. This shows that once we place this new restroom on the upper side of the parking lot and dig it in, we still get the benefit of the sloping side above. And so what Kendra's done is taken my rendering view from the back and shown the existing trees flanking that are there now, and then a solution on some screening in the foreground. And what we're trying to do is really help with the impact of the parking lot to the neighbors above. This will block the sound, it'll block the headlights, and we, from our study, it'll still respect the overview of the lot to the town. Thank you.
Guys, I just want to chime in. I just got a message that my battery's running low and yet I'm plugged in. So be warned that something weird might happen here. Anyway, carry on, please.
Okay. So some of the kind of key improvements on the civil infrastructure side, we're still moving forward with an Arenco wastewater treatment system. And as you can see, it's partially buried, so fairly low profile. And what happens is it comes from the restroom into the septic tank, and that's what this looks like, all buried. And then from the septic tank, it flows into the treatment unit, and then from there on, there will be a septic leach field, which we'll show in a moment. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this will be screened in front, and again, pretty low profile. And there's some opportunities to shift it around even more if needed. One thing of note during construction, this existing restroom will be fully functional as we're maintaining the existing septic tank and treatment system, and then eventually this treatment system will it'll basically pump from the existing septic tank up to the new treatment system. So there'll just be one in the final condition. And then, as I mentioned, the disposal area, drip disposal, is further along in the Mesa lot, shown in green here. And also wanted to point out that there's a new path proposed to connect to Giacomini Road, where the Mesa lot hits Giacomini. That'll be a nice pathway for students to be able to walk through. And then for the electrical design, some items of note is solar will be on the roof, and which isn't shown in the rendering, but that'll be good opportunity for good solar gain, and then that'll have battery backup. There's some electrical equipment off on the side here also will be screened, and that'll enable fixtures to be powered, lighting, and then some outlets. We'll also have vehicle charging, two of those, and then some outdoor rated outlets and charging stations. And then next steps are we will be completing our construction documents as the next steps. and then doing CEQA environmental documentation and permitting, and those that can generally take some time, but we're looking at about 9 to 12 months, and into summer of 2026 to get this project starting in construction.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Short
thank
and
you
sweet.
guys. Yeah, that's great. So we are at the question and answer phase or comment phase of the meeting. So if you want to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand if you would, and then I can allow you to talk, and we can go from there. All right, Ken, go ahead. Go ahead, Ken. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there you
Hey,
go.
thanks for this presentation. It looks great, actually. It sounded like you listened to everything that the group suggested and did a pretty damn good job of executing it. So I appreciate that. One question, you're going to have two electric vehicle charging spaces. Are they going to be restricted to electric only, or can other cars park there?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer though off the top of my head. I don't know if there are rules around that or if that's just a policy decision, but that's something we can make a note of and
Yeah,
and
I
you know,
think we're
continue the
going to lose
conversation on.
spaces if you restrict it to electric.
Right.
Are they going to be metered or are they going to be free?
We don't have those details figured out, I'm afraid, but those are good questions, Ken.
Yeah.
We just know at this point, we know that we want them there. And so, you know, in this next step, the 30% through 100%, I'll be engaging with vendors who do both solar and the electric vehicle charging stations. And I know there are different models for that, you know, the electric vehicle charging in particular. And my guess is, you know, just based on how we have it set up at the Civic Center, my guess is that people will be charged for the electrical, but again, those are details that we're going to have to dig into.
Right. Thanks for that. I think it's questionable if we take 2 parking spaces away from general parking and just make them only for charging your vehicle. That's
Yeah.
my 2 cents. But thank you
Yeah.
so much for the plan. I'm pleasantly surprised. And I also want to thank you for your responsible and diligent following up with the townspeople who've given you feedback, having these meetings, listening to what people are saying. It's refreshing that a government agency has followed through in such a great way.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. Okay, I have Rhonda next on my list, so go ahead, Rhonda.
Hi, yeah, I'll tag team with Ken and just thank you for the outreach and the responsiveness and, you know, adding the solar. I know that was something you weren't sure about, so I love having it in the plans. I just had 2 kind of comments and questions. One was a comment that we just recently have had some activity by opening up information hub kiosks down by the Grandy building. And I just wanted to let your team know that's been highly popular, and it is adjacent to the current temporary county facility, porta potties downtown. And I think when one day there were like over 100 visitors on a Saturday that just came by and asked questions. So anyway, it's just, and so thinking about that, we do have the billboards that are currently existing by the current restroom, and just want to think about how we can, appropriately help to educate the public about how to be good stewards when they come to Westmoreland. That's one of the things we'd like to help, to encourage people to, think, don't dump all their trash in our trash cans and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So that,
Yeah.
and then the question I have, and I'm glad you have this current picture up, is I think I mentioned it before, and I'm just still a little confused about Toby Street because, you know, is part of Toby Street a public street up until where it goes into the private part of EAH? Because I went by there today and they do have no parking signs just north of the entrance to the parking lot. And I see down below there is a car parked here. So I just had a question about, you know, is there parking going to be allowed along Toby Street? It looks to me like there is room for some spots here. And then my understanding is right after the playground, then it is private parking only for residents and guests. So I'd just like clarity on that.
Yeah, okay. Those are great questions. Off the top of my head, I don't know, north of or beyond the playground, what the situation is in terms of private or public. But parking along the driveway, if you will, is something that we can talk about with our traffic engineer and talk internally and kind of note it for now.
Yeah.
So that's
Seems
great.
like it might be just adjacent to the county property that would exist, and then it ends at the end of the property. I'm not sure. Be curious to get that clarified.
I do believe it's a public right of way for beyond where we're shown here. But the width, as you can see down where the car is parked, it's a little bit wider, and it's a good amount narrower up to the north. So that likely means you need clearance for a fire lane. So that's most likely what it is, but we can definitely follow up with more detail.
Great. Thanks, Rhonda. Okay, and then I've got Rob. Go ahead, Rob. Just got
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we got you.
All right. The elephant in the room is the congestion that will occur on the street. Your plan looks to be exceptional, well thought out and detailed. However, it's so nice, it will attract many people. And already the public street that is between the restrooms and the rest of the town gets very, very crowded and indeed somewhat dangerous on weekends. So none of you are directly responsible for that, but it's going to be an issue. Secondly, this is to Kendra. Are you going to be planting, this is a little bit rarefied, but are you going to be planting vegetation that may attract monarch butterflies or bees?
Yes, we are, hoping, and we try to do this in a lot of our design, especially in more natural, beautiful areas like, Point Reyes Station. We like to try and use a native palette of planting that is suitable for the location. And so some of those native plants that we currently have on our list, we have not developed the planting plan in full, but they would create habitat for pollinators, butterflies, of course. Yeah.
I say that because there is a program in West Marin to attract monarch butterflies to the coast.
Wonderful.
And to supplement the bee populations here. I will follow my comment up with an email to you with more information about that in case you're lacking.
No, thank you, Rob. That would be fantastic. We'd love to connect on that.
The other question I have is concerning water. What happens in drought years? Are we pretty sure that in drought years there'll be ample water supply for the facility?
As far as I know, Rob, I haven't heard of there being a constraint on water, and I know that we're talking about using low flow fixtures. Did we lose Chris? Looks like we lost Chris, maybe, or maybe he just disappeared from my screen. Anyhow, yeah. So is that something? Have you? I guess what brings about that question?
Well, we've had drought here, so
yeah, sure.
it is a possibility. It's not, it's a contingency.
Yeah,
Just throwing it out there because,
sure.
you know, everything seems to be working now, but in
Yeah.
2 years, that can change.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, you know, what we do at all of our facilities during those drought years is if there's a mandate, then we follow it, you know, and if that means we have to close things, then maybe we look at that.
So there was no response to my question about the congestion, the car congestion. Craig, if you come out
Yeah.
here on Western weekend,
Yeah.
this weekend, you will
Uh-huh.
see how congested the current facility is and the
Yeah.
street, and especially with the farmers market across the street.
Right.
So it's just an elephant in the room. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think, you know, what we can do, and I was planning to respond to you, just didn't get a chance. What we can do, you know, at this next step, we will be starting the CEQA process to do the CEQA analysis. And, you know, that's when we will talk about the potential impacts to traffic from, you know, the project. We, of course, are specifically looking at the project that we're proposing. And so whether or not, you know, we can talk to traffic engineers and find out whether or not, there would be an increase of traffic as a result of the new restrooms, and kind of go from there in terms of an evaluation. So we will look at that. That's a fair point.
Thank you. One last quick question. So according to your plans, the construction will hopefully begin summer of 2026?
I think it's more fair to say that we're hoping that the construction documents will be, and the CEQA and permitting will be completed by then. And then the actual construction window is contingent upon, you know, funding and probably lots of moving pieces and parts. We're going to be working with our partners at DPW on the actual construction, so we've got to coordinate with their schedule. So it's a little hard to pin down exactly when the construction will happen at this point in time, but we can look forward to at least through the 100% and the CEQA and permitting, and aim for summer of 26.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Jean, I see your hand up, so I'm gonna allow you to talk. All right, Jean, there you go. You're ready, Jean, if you want to chime in. Uh-oh. Are you there, Jean? Jean, we're not hearing you, so I'm gonna mute you again, and then I'm gonna come back to you. Leave your hand. Oh, let's try and unmute. What about now? Okay. Jean, I'll come back to you and we'll try again. Okay. I'm gonna go to Pamela.
Hi, Craig.
Yes. Hey, Pamela.
Okay, thank you for doing this. It's been like, I think it's over 14 years, but I'm really happy. I just want to make one statement from living in town for 38 years and how I've seen the congestion is I would say 90% of people either walk or ride their bikes to the bathroom. So I'm not too concerned about that. The other thing is to thank you for the attention of accommodating the uphill neighbors with the nice plantings, which I think is great. And then I know we're only at 30% now of your funding, but I would really like to now look at budgeting to improve the existing 4 restrooms. So the whole thing becomes a whole unit and everything is nice and clean and great from the beginning, because they really need attention, especially the door locks.
Okay.
Garbage.
Well, I lost that last thing. Could you say that again, Pamela?
I'm sorry. And the last thing was to make sure that we're budgeting and funding for the existing 4 restrooms.
Yes. Okay.
Because those doors and the interiors, I mean, since we're doing the whole thing and it might be a while before we pay attention again to this, it would be great to make sure that we're budgeting for improving the existing 4, for making sure that we have maintenance to clean these on a regular basis, and some kind of garbage compost and recycle that'll get picked up on a regular basis.
Okay. Making a note. Okay. We'll bring that into the conversation here in this next step, including budgeting for improvements to the existing restroom and maintenance.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, let's try and go. Oh no, did we lose Eugene? No, lost Gene. Well, I will talk with Gene offline. Okay, I've got Isabel. Go ahead, Isabel.
Hi, Craig. I was wondering if you could go back to the slide that showed where the leach field would be, and also if this presentation would be online.
Yes, actually, I think that for reasons related to accessibility, I might not be able to have the presentation uploaded. However, I can, my email address is at the end of this presentation. And if you email me, it's craig.richardson@marincounty.gov. I will email you the presentation if that's
All right,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Isabel, was there a specific question about the leach field
guess I'm
disposal
just
area?
generally interested in if it would have any effect on water resources.
No, definitely not. So we're outside of the fairly large buffer, and this will all go through regional board permitting. So we are absolutely abiding by all of those protection zones and laws.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, I'm bummed that we lost Gene.
Actually, Isabel, I want to add one quick thing too, and this is actually not a traditional leach field. This is one step up in quality. In that this is a subsurface drip disposal, which is a little bit different than a leach field, but there's a treatment system that we saw before is an advanced treatment system, so it makes the effluent cleaner than a traditional septic and leach field system.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Okay. Any other questions or comments that folks, any feedback? If not, I just want to appreciate all of your input and engagement along the way. It's been really fun. This project's been really fun because it's been sort of an iterative process where you guys have provided a lot of good feedback that then we're able to incorporate. And it's been a really, it's been a neat process for me as a professional because you don't always get this level of engagement and good ideas. So it's fun to see it all play out that way. So I'm looking forward to the next steps. I will keep you all informed and engaged. And thanks so much for coming tonight. And you've got my email and phone number if you want to talk more. Otherwise, we'll say goodnight. Oh, Rhonda's got a hand raised. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I was just looking for an icon to say thank you. And the
Oh.
only thing I had was raising my hand.
Aha, all right. Well, you're welcome. Thank
Thank
you.
All right.
Thank you all. Appreciate everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
All right, guys. Thank you. I hope you have a good evening.
Likewise. Thank you, Craig.
Talk to you. I'll talk to you guys. Maybe we can, I know Kendra, you're heading out, but we can talk more about next steps.
Sounds good.
Right. See y'all.
Bye.